Here we are, all set up at FD Roosevelt State Park. We are on a beautiful site, a little bit smaller than the last time you guys were with us, but still beautiful nonetheless. This will be our view for breakfast in the morning. And I think we're gonna go enjoy the sunshine, and we're going to see what we can get into and show off for you guys. When you first get to FD Roosevelt State Park, this is your view outside of the visitor center. Absolutely gorgeous views. And you find this several locations on the drive up to the visitor center as well. So make sure you bring your cameras. And then what they have inside the visitor center is this kind of community wall that has all the history and information about the campground and how it came about. We found Santa and what he likes to do on his off time. So I thought I would fill you in on some of the details about FD Roosevelt State Park. There are 5 loops of campgrounds that you can choose from. We were in the loop 5 in the back, which was nice and private for us, not here where you see them right up against the lake. We were in some of these others. I'm showing you some empty campsites here so you can see how big they are. There have been some that I've been to that are bigger, but they have a lot of pull-throughs, and as you can see, just a lot of wonderful trees and some privacy, and the campsites aren't right on top of each other, which is really, really nice to me. I like that much better. The camp is sitting on 9,974 acres. There's 2 lakes, 21 cottages, 115 tent, trailer, and RV campsites. They do have 16 backcountry campsites, 2 picnic shelters, 1 group camp, and then 5 pioneer campgrounds, as well as they have Liberty Bell swimming pool. They've got 43 miles of trails that some are specific walking trails, and then some of are specific to horseback riding. 28 miles of horseback riding trails. So a lot of room to stretch your legs. So we decided to drive around a little bit and see what we could find. And FD Roosevelt State Park is in Pine Mountain, Georgia. And they have the cute little town square with a bunch of like antique stores and banks and all your usual things, some restaurants, and just a really cute little downtown. Chipley, Pine Mountain, Georgia is what a lot of the signs were saying. The camp is just outside Callaway Gardens as well. So my husband is going to be, I guess, my model of what's going on, but I have mentioned before that pretty much any state park that you go to, they're going to have a playground area for the kids. Depending on the size of the campground, there might be several, and it depends on what it looks like. I don't know that I've ever seen 2 that look the same, but they do have pretty nice facilities, and they always have some fun little things for the kids to play on. Well, good morning, everybody. We are still at Roosevelt State Park in Pine Mountain, Georgia. It's first thing this morning on Saturday, and it is pouring down rain. Hopefully it's supposed to stop about 12 o'clock, so maybe we'll get lucky and have some sunshine after that, but rain doesn't usually slow us down too much. So had some breakfast, and we're just gonna get ourselves together and see what we can get into, and I'll bring y'all along. So tell us, sometimes you just don't know what you're actually getting when you pick a campsite. There are things that you cannot avoid. I mean, there's just gonna be things that are gonna happen that you didn't expect. We picked this campsite, looked fantastic, wonderful. We got a heavy, heavy rain first thing this morning, and our campsite is nice and flooded. Again, this is just how it comes along when you go camping. You just never quite know what you're going to get. one of the things that my husband and I enjoy the most is when we're going through all of these wonderful little towns, going to the different state parks and just traveling through somewhere, you just discover all kinds of interesting places. We're currently in Woodbury. We have found a couple of antique stores and found out that Woodbury evidently is the pimento capital of the world. We also stopped at a great little restaurant called the Blackbird in Woodbury, Georgia. Awesome food. You must go. We also stopped into a little town called Warm Springs. That again, the whole little town center square is just full of tiny little shops and restaurants and even a hotel to stay in town. So we just stopped off the side of the road. We saw on the website there was a Standing Boy, what is it? Standing Boy Creek State Park. And it looked like just some wildlife area that they've turned into a Georgia State Park. And so we found it on the side of the road. Do not follow GPS because it was not accurate. And we came along and we have found where they have this thing where they're telling you about finicky trails. There was a lot of rainfall that hit this morning, so some of these trails are closed. And then we have, you know, rules for the trail, and then they have this whole beautiful map that shows all the different trails that are going on. One other quick thing I wanted to point out is they do have QR codes for these maps, so you can get trail maps on your, just sent straight to your phone. I would definitely back them up because I pretty much could guarantee in these areas there's not going to be excellent cell service and beautiful Wi-Fi and all that stuff. So I would definitely make sure you've downloaded it to your phone. So as I said earlier, this state park has 2 lakes that are on the property, and this is almost 10,000 acre state park, so there's quite a bit of ground to cover. The cabins slash cottages, they have 21 of them. Linens are provided, and they all have fireplaces. Some of them even have outside fire rings that you can use as well. The kitchens are fully equipped, and thankfully all of these cabins are AC and heated, so you don't have to worry about that, especially in the South. They don't provide any of the wood for the fires though, so you do have to provide those yourself. And there are 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom cottages, and I will say that they did list on the website that you could do a premier cottage, but I couldn't figure out what the difference was between the regular cottages and a premier cottage. So that might be something that you might want to check out. And if you find out, please put it in the comments below because I would love to know. And we're going to sit down here and have an incredible meal. Again, we're having some great steak and some potatoes and carrots and all in our cute little camper that we have cooked up all by ourselves. Okay guys, it's been a really interesting morning. You know how I tell y'all that the rain never gets in our way. We just find things to do. We don't usually have a problem with rain. We'll plan outside activities, inside activities, so it just doesn't really usually bother us. Well, about 7 o'clock this morning, which is not when we usually get up when we're camping, I get an alert on my phone that says there is a tornado warning in effect for Pine Mountain, Georgia. Basically, seek shelter immediately. And if you don't already know this, when you're in a campground and you're in a camper that's just basically particle board and tin, it's really not a safe place to shelter in place. That's why they have those awesome cement, brick, cinder block comfort stations where the bathrooms are and everything. That doubles as an emergency shelter if you ever need one.
So I'm trying to rattle my poor husband out of the bed at 7 o'clock this morning to get to the shelter. Luckily, we were close enough to it, and we didn't have any problems or anything. The other problem that you have to keep in mind is you kind of have to be self-aware. We happen to be in a county that did not have EMS sirens, or they're not currently working because there was never a siren that went off. And then also, for the most part, these state parks are not like fully funded from, a huge, federal source. They may have one park ranger on site for the evenings. That's why they have those great campground hosts. But that to say, don't wait for your park ranger to come around and warn you that you need to seek shelter. You kind of have to take care of yourself when you're camping. But like I said, we did fine. We went up to the comfort station with a bunch of other campers, and we stood around, and everybody had weather.com or the Weather Channel, or we had one guy that was able to pull up local weather. So, you're always going to find a good group of people when you're camping. Now, there's that occasional person, but isn't that the way it is with life? But there's always just some really good people that are camping that are going to take care of each other. So we all kind of, we're comparing notes, talking about where this is going and what this is going, and kind of trying to comfort the kids that were around a little bit. So, needless to say, it's been a very interesting morning. Tornado warning went past. We had no problems. Went back to the camper and, of course, tried to go back to sleep, but that didn't work. So we're heading out now. Hopefully by the time we get back home, this whole weather system will kind of blown itself out or blown past us, so we won't be driving through it this whole time. But needless to say, hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the next travel. And hopefully it won't be this exciting.